hope you're all well. So this is a new video for me. I'm recording my phone screen. I'm going to see how this works out. So as you can tell from the title of this video, I'm going to be going through all the films I've watched this year so far from January to March. I don't know why I wanted to do this. I just thought it'd be fun to track all the films I watch in a year, and this includes both rewatches and new films as well. So my personal rules: I'm only logging films I watch start to finish, so I'm not counting any films I partially watch. I'm also not gonna count any films that when you have a film on the TV in the background while you do other stuff, I'm not counting films like that either. So, I'm going to start from January the 1st all the way up to, right now, today is the 29th of March, although it's almost the 30th. So it's not quite the end of March, but I just felt like filming this video. I'll try not to watch any films in the next 2 days so that I've done January, February and March. So yeah, let's get started. So the first film I watched this year was Midsommar. Now, my friend and I have this kind of ongoing thing, especially during lockdown. It's been pretty fun, where we take it in turns to pick a film, usually a film that the other person hasn't seen, and we watch the films synchronized, and then we just text over WhatsApp during the film about, we just chat during the film on WhatsApp. And Midsommar was my pick. It's funny because I pick more thriller, horror, creepy, scary films, whereas my friend, he likes more rom-com-y, like happy films, which you'll see as we go through this list. I'll point out which ones are mine and his choices. Anyway, Midsommar was my choice. I really like Midsommar. It's a weird film. I don't find it particularly scary. In fact, that's a lie. I don't find it scary at all, but I think it's a good film, and I really like Florence Pugh, so I picked this. My friend hated it. I think he gave it 1 star, or maybe 2 stars. In fact, no, he gave it 1 star, I remember, so he did not like this, but I did. So that's our first film. I then went on a mini Tom Hanks spree, and I watched Castaway and then Forrest Gump. I'm really happy actually, because Forrest Gump is currently on Amazon Prime and Castaway is coming on to Netflix very soon. Both fantastic films. Then my first new film of the year is I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, which is a Netflix original film, I think, from a few years ago. I watched this A, because it sounded good, and B, because Ruth Wilson is in it, and I'm a huge fan of the show, His Dark Materials, and I think this was only like a week or 2 after the season ended, and Ruth Wilson plays Mrs. Coulter, and, well, firstly, Mrs. Coulter is my favourite character from the book. She's also probably my favourite character in the show, and I love Ruth Wilson, so I wanted to watch some more of her films and work, and this was the first film I watched with her in it. I give it 3.5. She was very good in the film. I really liked the film. It was a bit weird. I felt like it didn't quite reach its full potential, but it was a pretty creepy, ghosty story. The next film I watched was Spree, which was the same day, and is another new watch. It's also a Netflix film. I 100% watched this because of Joe Keery, who plays the main character, and he plays Steve Harrington in Stranger Things. And Steve Harrington is my favourite character in Stranger Things, especially the 3rd series, so I watched it. I'd recommend it just for an easy watch. It's a pretty straightforward film. Then I randomly watched the second Hunger Games film, Catching Fire, because it's my favourite Hunger Games film. Then I watched Dark River, another new watch, which is also a Ruth Wilson film. It's also set in Yorkshire, so it was interesting watching Ruth Wilson and a Yorkshire accent, which I liked. Also had Sean Bean in it. Then I watched The Borrowers, which is just an absolute classic film. Absolutely love it. I'm gonna scroll down, there we go. Okay, so I think I watched Catching Fire, and then I realised I wanted to watch the other Hunger Games, so I watched the first Hunger Games, then I skipped Catching Fire because I only watched it a few days ago, and then I watched Mockingjay Part 1 and 2 after that. If you're interested, Catching Fire is my favourite film. The first film is my second favourite film, and then I like Part 1, and then Part 2 is my least favourite. Okay, on the 21st of January we watched The Grand Budapest Hotel. This was my friend's choice. He is a big Wes Anderson fan. I've never watched a Wes Anderson film, at least before then, and I very much liked The Grand Budapest Hotel. It was a good film. Then the day after, I watched Dead Poets Society, which again I'd never watched. Robin Williams, very, very good film, loved it. Then on the 24th of January, I think so far this year, this is the most films I've watched in one day. I watched 5 films. I think it was a Sunday. I watched Homeward Bound 2, Lost in San Francisco. It was on Disney Plus, and it's a film from my childhood. It makes me think of my grandma in my childhood. Then I watched Unfriended, which is just it's not a very good film, but it's just an easy watch on Netflix. Then A Cinderella Story, which I think was on TV, so I just watched it. And then I watched 2 new films, both on Netflix. One was called Sightless, which was pretty decent. I'm not going to watch it again, but it was good. It was about, I think it's about a blind violinist who's kind of in a new apartment. And then the other film was called Down a Dark Hole. This is the first film on my list that I did not like. Oh, in case you don't know, sorry, the stars are how many stars out of 5 I gave the films. The heart, if there's a heart next to the film, it means I liked the film. And then the arrows are whether or not I've seen the film before. So, sorry, I didn't point that out. Now, Down a Dark Hole, I picked this film, A, because it looked good, and B, because Anna Sophia Robb was in it. It was okay until about 2/3 through, and then it took a weird turn, and I did not like the ending. I really didn't like it. The premise was really interesting, and then it just kind of fell apart halfway, 2/3 through, and I ended up not liking it at all. I nearly turned it off before the end. And then the last film I watched in January was Booksmart, which I love, very funny. Okay, the first film I watched in February was 28 Days Later. Now, this was my pick between me and my friend, so he picked Grand Budapest Hotel. I picked 28 Days Later because I think we were talking about zombie films, and I said 28 Days Later is like a classic British zombie film, and also it has zombies that run as opposed to, zombies that move really slowly, and I said it added a bit of creepiness. Then I went on a mini Pixar watch, and I watched WALL-E and Brave in the same day. Love both of them. And then this film called Anna and the Apocalypse, which I saw on the Netflix new and popular page. I completely 100% chose this randomly based on the poster and the mini trailer, and I loved it. The film was good. It's a bit like, it's a zombie film, but it's also a musical. It's like if Shaun of the Dead were set in a high school and they made it into a musical. It's a very, very good film, but the soundtrack is the best thing. The songs are so good, and I love the soundtrack, so I'd recommend you watch that film if you need a new musical. Then I watched Pirates of the Caribbean, which I love. It's such a good film. I forgot how much I loved it. And then Mallrats, that was my friend's choice of movie. After my 28 Days Later. Now, Mallrats, my friend is a huge Kevin Smith fan, and I can't remember if he recommended this or if I chose it, but yeah, we said Mallrats to start off with, and I'll be absolutely honest with you guys, because he doesn't know about my channel, I didn't like it. I just did not. I mean, I didn't hate it, hence the heart next to it, but it's not the best film I've ever seen. I will never watch it again. He loves loves it though. He gave it 5 stars. Then I watched the other 2 Pirates of the Caribbean, which I both love again. Love them. Then we've got Inside Out, which is again just an absolutely brilliant Pixar film. Love it. Deep Blue Sea, so corny shark film. The Lion King, and then The Martian. I love The Martian. It's one of my favourite films. I don't know if any of you can relate. Have you ever eaten something when watching a film, and then whenever you watch the film you always think of that food? Is that a thing, or is that me? Because The Martian is my pizza film. Whenever I watch it I always think and want pizza, because I ate pizza one time when watching it. Oh god, let me know if that's a thing. Okay, then we have 2 new films on the 15th and 16th. I watched Red Dot, which is on Netflix. I think it's a Norwegian film or something. It was a decent film. Not the best film I've ever seen, but it wasn't the worst film either. It was a decent watch. And then Ava, I chose this because mainly of Jessica Chastain. I'll be honest, it wasn't the best film ever. It felt like it had no plot. Like, it literally had no plot. Jessica Chastain was good. She was very badass in it, but the film itself was not great. Then we've got As Above, So Below, which I like. I've seen it before, obviously. It's like a found footage documentary style film about a group of there's a professor and a couple of she's some companions, and they basically break into the catacombs of Paris, and they're trying to find the Philosopher's Stone, which is a real thing, not just a Harry Potter thing. And it's a very weird film, but I very much like it. Then Paranormal Activity, because I felt like watching it. And then a film called His House. Now, I actually started watching this the day before, and I did not like it at all. In fact, I switched it off about half an hour before the end. It's about a couple from, I think, oh god, I can't remember, they're from somewhere in Africa. I can't remember the exact country, I apologise, but they're from an African country, and they basically come over to the UK and are given a council house, and then they start seeing things, and I just didn't like it, so I switched it off. But then the next day, I think it was the morning, I thought I might as well watch the last half hour, and I'll be absolutely honest, the last half hour was the best bit of the film, so I'm glad I did that, but I still didn't like it. I gave it 2.5 stars, which is a shame because I read up on it and apparently it had really good reviews, so I don't know, maybe that was just me. Then another new watch, I found this on Netflix. This was one of those complete random picks. It's called American Mary. I actually liked it. It wasn't a great film, but I just really liked it for some reason. It's quite gory. It's basically about a young female surgeon trainee, and she gets offered some money to do some kind of backdoor body mod surgery, and that's kind of the whole film, but it was a very good film. I liked it. Then we have Paranormal Activity 2, because why not? I'd watched the first one. Oh, and then The Sixth Sense was my pick after Mallrats, because my friend said he'd never seen it. He knew the twist, but he'd never seen the film, and I said, well, you need to watch the film, because the film is great, even though you know the spoiler. And I think he did like it, not as much as me, but I think he did. Then The Meg, which is not a great film, but I like sharks, not gonna lie. Knives Out, a great film, love it. Then Paranormal Activity 3, because again, why not? Now, I think I mentioned this in my book video, but I read Murder on the Orient Express earlier this year, and I loved it, loved the book. However, the book, if you haven't read it, the book is very heavy on conversations, there's not much action in it. So, when I read the book, the first thing I wanted to do was watch the movie, and I did not like the movie at all. I gave it 2.5 stars, and I did not like it. I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but the movie adds a lot of extra action, and I did not like that. I went away and I watched, there's an ITV series in the UK called Poirot, and they did an episode, and I did not know this until I started watching it, but the episode actually has Jessica Chastain in it and a couple of other famous actors, and I much preferred the TV episode to the movie. Okay, next film is Moonrise Kingdom, which was my friend's pick, another Wes Anderson film, and I really liked this. It was a very beautiful film. Then Planet of the Apes, because I hadn't seen that in bloody ages, and it was on Disney Plus, the star that came out. And then The Witches was my pick because my friend said, again, he'd never seen it, and I said it was a childhood classic. So we watched that. I love The Witches. And then we are on to March. Now, the first film I watched in March was Paranormal Activity 4. I'd never seen Paranormal Activity 4 before this, and it was rubbish. It was not even scary, and the bits that were slightly scary were just like rehashed from the other films. I'm definitely not going to watch the rest of them. Then a film called Moxie, which I think was new on Netflix when I watched it, and I really liked it. It was a very good film. Plus it had Amy Poehler in, I like her. And then Dogma was my friend's pick. Dogma is another Kevin Smith film. I liked Dogma way more than Mallrats. Still not a huge fan. Especially a couple of the characters, they make really derogatory jokes towards women, and it's supposed to be funny, and it's kind of funny but also not funny, and I don't think I appreciated that. A bit dated, but nevertheless I liked it more than Mallrats. Then Twister is one of my favourite films. I love Twister. I watch it when I can't decide what to watch. I can quote most of the film, and it's coming on Netflix as well, which I'm really pleased about. I saw that it's coming on Netflix sometime this week. Then I rewatched Booksmart. Booksmart for the second time was my pick of film, because again my friend had never seen it and I thought it was quite funny. I don't think he liked it as much as me, but there we go. Then Anne of Green Gables. Now, I think there's a bit of controversy here. I watched the 2016 version because that's the first version I ever saw. I'm not a huge Anne of Green Gables fan. I've never seen it, never read it. And I think the first time I watched this was on TV a few years ago. And I really liked it, but I know there's a 70s or 80s version that people really, really like. I haven't seen that. So I watched Anne of Green Gables. I watched this version. Apparently there's been 2 sequels, but I cannot find them anywhere. And I would like to watch the sequels. Ugh. Okay, next we have The Silent Child, which is the only short film on my list. It's only about 20 minutes. It's on YouTube, and it won an Oscar a couple of years ago. It's a very good film about a deaf child. Then The Block Island Sound. This was another random Netflix pick. It was a decent film. It had an interesting premise. You know, when you think a film's going a certain way and then you're like, oh wow, didn't expect that. That's kind of that film. It wasn't the best film I've ever seen, but it was a solid watch. Then a film called Repo, the Genetic Opera. This was my friend's pick. And again, not the best film I've ever seen, but some of the songs were quite catchy. Then I'm going to scroll down. Then I watched Panic Room. I love Panic Room. Then this was a Sunday. I watched 3 films on a Sunday a couple of weeks ago. The first film was Yes Day, which I think was new on Netflix at the time, the one with Jennifer Garner. It was a cute film, nothing special. Cute film just to kill a couple of hours. Then Singing in the Rain was on TV, so I watched that. I love, love, love Singing in the Rain. If you ever need cheering up, or you need, your mood boosted a little bit, watch Singing in the Rain. I promise you'll feel better afterwards. And then this was a random pick. Tag, I think I picked it because of, I can't remember his name, Andy Bernard from The Office. I can't remember his actor name. I thought it was a bit boring, if I'm totally honest, so I only gave it 2 stars. Then The Witch, which was my film pick between me and my friend, because I love The Witch. It's one of those, what's the word? It's like a Marmite film. I've read some people that really love it, and then some people think it's boring and hate it. I always say, though, I said this to my friend as well, if you're going to watch a film like The Witch, you need to watch it with all the lights out, and with headphones if possible. It's one of those, you need to get into the atmosphere of it. And then I watched The Favourite. I've wanted to watch this ever since Olivia Colman won the Oscar for it, and it's on Disney Plus Star. And I really liked it. It was like funnier than I thought it would be. Olivia Colman completely deserves the Oscar. I think my favourite character might have been Rachel Weisz's character. She was very funny in times. She had some really funny lines. One of my favourites, she said something like, I have an increasing desire to see your nose broken, or something like that, really dry lines. So I'd recommend The Favourite, definitely. Then Jeepers Creepers. I've seen that before, just a nice, well, not nice film, wrong word. Just an easy film to kill a few hours. A new film, this, believe it or not, I've had Amazon Prime for years and years. This is my first ever Amazon original film. If you can recommend any more, please do. I need to make more of my Amazon Prime membership. And I chose this 100% for Daniel Radcliffe. And it's called Escape from Pretoria. I think it's based on a true story. And the film was pretty decent. I enjoyed it. It's about a prison break, basically. Then I watched The Martian again. Because why not? And then a film called Mom at 16. I have no idea where I first watched this. It's like a TV film. It's that kind of quality, like a TV film, like a Channel 5 film in this country. I don't know. In the US, would you call it a Hallmark film? I'm not sure. I have no idea where on earth I first saw this. It was not on TV. But anyway, the whole thing's on YouTube. If you want to watch it, it's a cute film though. It's quite emotional at times. And as you can guess, it's about a girl who has a baby at 16. It's got some actors that you may have heard of in it as well, so I'd recommend it. Next we have a film called Wildling, which I found on Netflix. I chose this because of Belle Powley, and I like her. The film itself was good, not great. Interesting premise, but I don't know, just fell a bit short for me. Then the other day I rewatched Mean Girls. I've obviously seen it before loads of times, but I'd not watched it for a while, and I love it when you rewatch an old film and you laugh at it because you'd forgotten this scene and that, and yeah, I love Mean Girls. And then Snakes on a Plane, which was on Netflix. I've never seen this. It's one of the cheesiest films I've ever seen, but it was entertaining. I've heard with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Oh dear. Okay, then Braveheart. I've not watched Braveheart for years, so it was really nice to go back and watch it. I loved it. And I forgot how beautiful the soundtrack is as well. Then I watched Romeo and Juliet. I've just realised this was the other day. I watched 4 films the other day. That's good. Romeo and Juliet. Love this film. Very heartbreaking. Then I watched Jackass number 2 because I wanted something easy to watch. And it said recommended to me on Netflix, so I watched it. And then a film called Greta, which I think was new on Netflix at the time. It was a pretty good film. I wasn't into it when it first started, but then I gradually got more into it, and I really liked the ending, so I gave it 3.5 stars. I very much like this. Then The Witch was my pick. Ignore me. Then I watched a film called Carol, which at the moment is on Amazon Prime. It's a beautiful film, absolutely beautiful. It's got Kate Blanchett and Rooney Mara in. And I recommend this film highly. It's a beautiful film set in the 1950s. Then When Harry Met Sally, I watched this yesterday. That was my friend's pick because, like I said, he's very much into like rom-coms, and I'm not. I'd never seen When Harry Met Sally, but I watched it and I really liked it. Very much liked it. And then this is the last film I watched in March. I just finished this like an hour ago, and it's The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I remember reading the book to this, and I loved it. Very, very good, and a good soundtrack too. So, I think I just counted these before I started the video. I think I watched 77. I may need to recount these though. So that's 77 films I've watched this year so far. I think I might do another video in a few months' time of April, May and June. I might do one every 3 months. But I'm really liking tracking my films, and I'm going to continue to do it all year. I want to see how many films I watch in a year. I'm doing well so far though, if I'm up to 77. Yeah, so if you'd like to recommend me any films, or if you want to say anything about any of the films I've watched, then please leave me a comment. I'll be honest, I don't always reply to comments, but I promise you I do read them all. Like, I know everyone says that, but I honestly do. I read all your comments, so please let me know. I'm going to end this video now though, so have a lovely Easter. I'm going to try and make an Easter video as well. Yeah, I will see you when I see you, so goodbye, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.